Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming. My name's Amanda. I am on the board of Inside Out for Everyone. And Inside Out for Everyone is a nonprofit that helps foster getting mental health to those who can't afford it. And today we do Soulful Sundays every first and third Sunday here at Hundred Mile Brewing Company. And it's basically mental health awareness. We do lots of different topics, and it's free to come, and then you also get a beer. So come back anytime. And today our topic is going to be reconnection. And I'll introduce Shannon. Shannon is the founder and CEO of Inside Out for Everyone, and she's also a therapist. And I'd like to introduce you, Shannon. Come on up. She's going to take it for today.
You. I feel like I'm getting 10 or something. Hopefully next year. Well, welcome. I'm super excited that you guys are here today. This is going to be a fun topic, especially I say for myself. I was super glad to be putting this material together because I needed to hear it. So I hope you all enjoy it as much as I did as I was going through it. So here's where we're at. After a year's worth of stress and relational stress and work stress and whatever other kind of stress we can come up with that we've experienced over the course of the last year, I want to talk about how to reconnect after a long period of stress, loss, grief. What do we do to reconnect? First with ourselves, come back to paying attention to ourselves, B, with our family and friends, and then C, within our community. That's what we're going to focus on today. So let's get started. Reconnecting with ourself is where we're going to start. Grounding and gentle self-awareness. Okay. That's going to be the basics of how to come back to paying attention to what we need. So here are some points. Let's go through them together. Trauma and stress often disconnect us from our own needs. We get others focused. We get outward focus with our stress, and we lose sight of ourselves and how to care for ourselves, what our limitations are, what we need to be healthy, because we're focused on the outward stress. So when we go through trauma, loss, or long periods of stress, our bodies and minds shift into survival mode. How many of you have ever heard yourself say that? I feel like I'm in survival mode. Well, good news. Survival mode is useful in the moment, helps us get through some of the hard stress and losses. But if it lasts too long, we will stop noticing what we actually need, like rest and food and whatever else to take care of ourselves. But rest and food, comfort, connection. Stress can make us ignore the signals that our body are telling us we need to pay attention to because, again, we're outward focused, not paying attention to the stomach that's going, hello, I'm hungry. Or the brain that's going, man, I need some protein so I can think. Stress can make us ignore those signals from our body and silence off our emotions. And then we start becoming overwhelmed or feeling overwhelmed. So over time, this creates a gap of busy coping. We busy ourselves. We find things to do, but we're not listening to ourselves. We're not listening to our thoughts. We're not listening to our bodies. Reconnection, that's the word of the day. Reconnection starts by slowing down and gently paying attention again, listening to your thoughts and your body, slowing down, noticing the small signals like, I'm tired, or I need support, or I feel anxious. That prompts us what to do next. Talk points. Let's hit some of this. And if you guys want to throw out comments, feel free to do so. Stress pulls us outward. it pulls us outward. It takes us off of focusing on our own needs. We focus on the problem, the crisis, or others' needs, and we forget about our own. Trauma teaches us to shut down. We've talked about trauma in previous workshops where the amygdala shrinks and we lose memory. Trauma teaches us to shut down. It can feel safer to numb. How? Substances, which I include food into that, or avoiding feelings. But this cuts us off from ourselves. We're numbing. We're not paying attention to ourselves. Our needs don't disappear, do they? We still need to eat. We still need the sleep. And boy, I will be the first as the counselor in the room to say the sleep is imperative. If you don't want a psychosis or delusions, you must get sleep. Focus on that. Reconnection is slow. It's not about fixing everything all at once. It's slowing down. It's about noticing one small step and respecting that, doing that. What's one? Can I put myself in a timeout in a corner in a quiet place without any noises? What is it? And can you respect that? Okay, let's back up. I'm curious. Do you guys have any comments about how to reconnect with yourself? Are you understanding the concept? Do you have any questions about what I'm talking about to this point?
Yeah, having been a student of your teaching
Mm,
and having the great opportunity to be in your council, um, my history is a lot of childhood trauma, and learning today the difference between bad experiences and trauma is that you internalize
mm,
the experience that happens. And as a grown adult today, I realize that the world is trying to, without being a pessimist or jaded, the world is a hard, cold place, and it hurts a lot of times.
mm.
And as from a very young age, I've learned to internalize the external things that happen in life, and so I tend to be traumatized by the normal things, or even some of the brutal things that happen. And I'm learning today to how to have. I'm trying to learn today. I am learning today how to protect myself from taking it personally.
Mm,
And that
excellent.
pains I've been struggling for several years before now to realize and understand that it's not happening to me in punishment. It's that I've got a thin skin, so to speak, and that I'm learning to be self-aware and to recognize that this isn't punishment, that this is training, this is strengthening,
Respecting
and I'm
yourself.
learning, I'm learning to use it to strengthen me and grow me. But there's been a lot of wreckage and there's been a lot of challenges along the way.
Mm,
And so I'm always grateful when this basically embodies the stuff that I'm trying to learn, and this
awesome.
refortifies what I'm trying to do. So thank you for sharing
Thank
it.
you. Thank you. Yes, good points. Self and reconnecting with self. We're going to move on to the next, reconnecting with others. And in this case, we're talking about like closer friends and family. Once we come back and respect ourselves, make sure we're getting the rest and the sleep that we need. What's next? Safe relational building. That's what's next. It's reconnecting with your people. Reconnection begins with slowing down, paying attention or noticing, and naming, like Brian just did, what we feel. Healing doesn't happen in a rush. After stress or trauma, our nervous systems are on high alert. If you guys hear me say that and have ever had major stress, you know exactly what I'm talking about. When our nervous system goes into high alert, it makes it hard to feel safe. That's what Brian was just saying. It makes it hard to feel safe or calm. And a reset of your nervous system is slowing it down. It's learning how to slow down. This is not as easy as it sounds. Slowing down is just the first step. It gives our body and mind the space to breathe, the space to reset. When we slow down, we can begin to notice what's going on in our mind, in our body. If we're just going through it, we are not paying attention to what our thoughts are telling us or what our body is telling us. When we slow down, we can begin to notice what's happening inside of us, the tension in our shoulders, the racing heart, who gets the internal vibrations. I love that with my anxiety. Woohoo! Anybody else got that one where you feel like all your insides are rattling around? That's a fun one. That's a breathe one for me. I got to put myself in a timeout and do my little box breathing. Yoga. I'm not a good yoga, but I am a good breathing. Good one. Okay. 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 So yoga is a great option to reconnect with your body and your mind for sure. I'm glad that works. And for some people, that is the thing. Yoga stops the spinning. Okay. I like it. I'll have to go back and try it again someday. Okay. So slowing down. Once we notice what's happening inside us, then we can start name those things. And now we have something to work with. Now we understand what we're going through. So naming those feelings like I feel anxious, I feel tired, I feel hopeless. Naming them turns vague discomfort into something we can understand and work with or through. We gotta be, this is what I say, this is what my people gotta be able to see it before you can do anything with it. That's half the battle, is being able to see what it is so that we can do something with it. This process, slowing, noticing, naming, is the foundation of reconnection. It helps us move from being overwhelmed, overstimulated to present, grounded into where we are. Doesn't necessarily take pain away, just helps us understand what's going on. Okay, the top points here for reconnecting with family and friends. Slowing down is permission. Listen, it tells your body we don't have to keep going. How many of you need to tell yourselves, slow down, let yourself, Amanda, let yourself pause and enjoy your time with your children or family. It's hard, but slowing down is incredibly important. That's where we come back to our bodies. We know what we need to do, and we got to slow down and give ourselves permission to do so. Noticing gentle, seeing is a gentle awareness. We don't judge what we feel. I say I'm my own worst critic. You guys probably are your own worst critics also. Stop it. Quit judging yourselves. It's awful. Be patient with yourself. Be open with yourself. Work through. Stop judging yourself. It's awful. It really is. And that can take you on a whole nother self-esteem mission where you now have to work out who you are, what you want to be in the world. Don't judge yourself. Don't be critical of yourself. Thank you. I do need to hear that message. I do. Naming gives clarity. This is where the clarity, the knowing is half the battle. So naming gives clarity. Words help us organize emotions and make them less overwhelming. This is the start of reconnection. By naming feelings, we begin to honor our needs instead of ignoring them. And for sure, I am the queen of ignoring my own needs. As a professional, as a mom, as a everything that I am, that's my struggle. I am definitely, as a counselor, others focused, and it is very difficult to put myself in timeout and go, take care of myself, Very difficult. After trauma, relationships can feel really overwhelming. Anybody understand that? Don't raise your hand. They can even feel unsafe. Our body and mind are trying to protect. We go into self-protective mode. So closeness may feel risky. I know I have that problem when things are broken, nobody feels safe. That is a fight, flight, freeze response. And a lot of us do go into that with certain stressors. Being aware of this is key. If you know that when you go into that space, what you do to start calming your nervous system makes a difference. Our bodies and minds are powerful. And I know personally they go to great lengths to protect us from what's out there. Doesn't mean we're broken, guys. This means we're healing. It's a good thing. Reconnection happens slowly with yourself, with your others. Reconnection happens slowly through small steps like listening, sharing time, setting boundaries. Each of these steps will help build trust and safety, reminding us that relationships can be supportive. I will be the first to say again, as a counselor, the boundaries are key. And most families, most couples, most people, most Americans I see do not have boundaries. I would tell you in my almost 20 years of practice that even the one main boundary, no, is not something practiced and respected by most Americans. And come to find out, people feel mean when they say no. The heck? My goodness, we need to revisit this concept. Boundaries should be a bridge, not a wall, a bridge. Make the connection feel better. Reconnection happens slowly through small steps like listening, sharing, setting boundaries. Each step helps rebuild the trust and safety. Let's talk about reconnection requires the intentional small steps. This is kind of fun. We're going to have some practical points in here that I hope you guys enjoy. The listening, the shared rituals or habits for those of us that need to hear it like that, and gentle vulnerability. Let's talk about what that looks like. After periods of stress or trauma, relationships don't heal overnight. We can't just go, oh, now that we're out of trauma, we're good, right? Yeah. Reconnection is a slow process, building on small, intentional actions. Listening is one of the most powerful steps, one of the hardest when we're in trauma because everybody's reacting. Listening is one of the most powerful steps when we listen without judgment to ourselves or to somebody else or trying to fix it. We show others that they're safe and valued just by listening. I forget that sometimes because I go into counselor fix it mode. I forget that all I'm required to do is listen and be an ear. It's not always about giving that solution or that suggestion or philosophy that may help. That is a real hard forget most of the time for me. I am listening to fix, I can assure you. Shared rituals or the habits. That's simple, guys. It's like eating a meal together, taking a walk, holding hands. Little check-ins. Check-ins is my favorite. That's how I talk to my couples. We check in daily just so we know it's a thermometer, so we know where each other is at. I think people who live together, including kids and parents, should check in daily using an emotion wheel, happy, sad, angry, mad, and just check in. Where are you at? How are you feeling today? just so that we know where each other is at, just so that we get to process a little bit in a check in. But it's a great way to connect. It is a shared ritual when you start checking in daily. I feel like I have that in counseling where when people come in, that's how I start. It's a check-in. How's this? How's this? How's this? How's this? And I'm making you think outside of yourself about all those different things. That's a check-in. It makes you feel connected when you check in with yourself or your others. Gentle vulnerability means sharing small truths about how we feel without pressure to reveal everything. It's about opening the door just enough to let connection grow. These small steps, repeated over time, help relationships feel safe again and allow trust back in. By the way, as a family, as a marriage and family counselor, I have heard people say things like, if I can't trust my spouse, I can't be in a relationship with them. And I like to point out that I think that is incredibly impossible to be able to trust another person fully, always. There's always something that can break the trust, from finances to extramarital affairs to whatever the thing is. The trust, the way I like to encourage people to think about it is how to build trust. You don't just have trust. You don't just arrive at trust. Your boundaries will help you build trust, but it's building. It's not there. We're working on it. Let's see. I'm going to move on to the next slide. Talk points. So connection grows in small doses. Big leaps can make us feel unsafe. If we throw you into a big social setting, when you're in a situation, you might get a little stressed and feel distrustful of the people that are around. Small steps to build confidence here. Listening is healing. We talked about that. Presence matters more than advice. Let's try to remember that, guys. I'm going to walk out of this session today trying to remember that. Presence matters more than advice. Rituals create safety. Predictable, shared moments remind us we belong here. So when we're having those meals, holding hands, walking around the block, sitting with the kids, that's connecting point. That's reminding us we're connected to this environment. And consistency matters. Let me back up. I missed one. Gentle vulnerability invites trust, sharing little truths. And as a counselor, I've always believed this, that if I'm open with you, if I tell you that I had a son that was in a tour in Iraq as a medic for 13 months and a son that was in Florence prison at the same time. My favorite mom moment of the world. Like, woohoo! Right? Those little vulnerabilities that I share with you make me a real person to you. And now you're more willing to go, oh, you know some stuff. I can be open with you. So gentle vulnerability invites trust. It's a cool thing. Consistency matters. Repetition of small steps is what rebuilds the safety and trust, whether it's with ourselves or with our others or our communities. Reconnection doesn't happen all at once. It requires small, intentional steps. Listening without trying to fix someone shows them they're safe. Shared rituals like meal or a walk or the check-in, that creates steady moments of belonging. And gentle vulnerability, like saying, I feel nervous today, opens the door to trust without overwhelming. These small steps, repeated over time, slowly rebuild the safety and closeness we need in our relationships. It's about building, doesn't just happen. So let's move beyond family and friends and hit the community where we're at right now. Let's look at this. Reconnecting with meaning and community expanding beyond the self, like each of us are doing here right now. Healing deepens when we reconnect with meaning, with values, and community. Healing isn't only about feeling better inside ourselves, it's also growing stronger with others when we reconnect with what gives life meaning. We lose that when we go through major stress and trauma. How many times have I had somebody sit in my office and go, I don't know myself anymore, or I lost myself in my marriage? How many times? A lot. I hear it a lot. Being with yourself and with others. Oh my goodness. Very important after we've had some stress and loss. Values are the principles that guide us: kindness, honesty, resilience. Trauma can make us lose touch of these things. Again, we feel unsafe when we're activated and stimulated. We don't feel the kindness and honesty from people, do we? Rediscovering them helps us feel grounded, though. Like Brian being here at the workshops, being in the community regrounds you into community with your safe people. Community provides belonging, being part of something bigger. I know some of us are introverts, some of us are extroverts, but the same applies. Community is very important. If you're an introvert, you may have a smaller community, but you still need a community. If you're an extrovert, you may be fortunate enough to have lots of resources in your community to pull from. But we all need to reconnect to our communities. That's where our belonging comes from. That's where we get reminded that we're not in this alone. We're here together. We are all the same. We all have the same problem. We need to reconnect after stress. When we reconnect with meaning, values, and community, we move beyond survival mode. Healing becomes deeper and more sustainable. So here's the top points for our community. Meaning gives direction. It helps us understand why we keep moving forward, right? Values anchor us to our people. They remind us of who we are even after loss or trauma. I would say the values that connect most of the people in this room to me are probably a love value, because that's the big one for me. I'm a love bug. I love everybody. I can find something to love about anybody, and you're going to feel loved when you're close by, because that's my thing. I would tell you that's probably the only thing I'm good at, but I'm good at that. You will feel loved. Community sustains us. Belonging creates safety, support, and shared strength. And healing is relational. We heal more fully when we connect with others and with purpose. And growth is possible. Oh my gosh. Growth is possible. Growth versus fixed mindset is where this concept comes from. Even in the most ugly situations, we can grow, we can learn something from it. Doesn't have to just be terrible. Let's learn. Growth is possible. Trauma recovery. This is just a little extra in addition, because I deal with a lot of trauma in my practice. Trauma recovery is sustained by collective care and shared purpose. This whole workshop concept is built off of a trauma recovery concept, where I want to bring people together in community, try to provide safe relationships. That's what this is about, actually. That's why it's free to the community, because we want to do this. We want to provide opportunities for people to connect in their community. Healing from trauma is not something we should do alone. The VA, when they get their people back from their tours and do their debriefings, this is the biggest concept that they focus on, is plugging people into a community. Whether it's volunteer, whether it's going back into school, whatever it is, that this is their focus, is to get people plugged into communities. Collective care means leaning on trusted people, communities, or groups who can share strength, listen, and walk with us. That's what we're doing here. Shared purpose, same thing, gives us meaning beyond our pain. When we contribute to something bigger, like helping others, or joining a cause, or creating together, we feel connected. Trauma recovery lasts longer and feels more stable when we're part of a network. Trauma takes a long time to overcome, doesn't it? You got to stay part of a community doing the work, as us counselors like to call it. And I would say the work never stops. Sometimes I get my couples that go, "You want me to think of every word I say to my spouse before I say it?" Yeah, I do. Pretty much. I'd like that if we would do that. It takes a long time to come out of trauma experiences and get that nervous system quieted down again, get the hormones leveled out again. Being in community is going to help us. Top points. We heal in relationship. Recovery is stronger when we're supported by others. Collective care is shared strength. Communities hold us when we cannot hold ourselves. Purpose transforms pain. Contributing to something bigger helps us find meaning in our healing. I definitely try to do the pay it forward thing in my practice, where I encourage people to get involved, even if it's here. I encourage people to pay it forward, to do something to help others. Go through a coaching program that you connect with and help somebody else who's going through those things. That's purpose. And it transforms pain. Your pain can transform somebody else's pain because you know and understand it intimately and can speak into it. Belonging sustains recovery. Feeling part of a group reminds us we are not alone. Healing is communal. Trauma recovery is not just about the individual, it's about connection. So trauma recovery is sustained by collective and shared purpose. Self-care matters, but healing deepens when we're supported by others. Collective care means we don't have to carry the weight alone. We can lean on our trusted people and communities. Shared purpose gives us meaning beyond our pain, reminding us that together our lives matter and that we can all contribute to something bigger. Together, care and purpose make recovery stronger, steadier, and more lasting. And that's it, guys. Woohoo! Thank you guys for joining me. I greatly appreciate it. I will open it up for questions.